So we've managed to get our hands on Vanguard's multiplayer now. It's currently 4 AM in the UK time, and we're going to be going over the best settings for the Vanguard multiplayer for controller players as well as people that play on PC. If you enjoy weapon comparisons, weapon breakdowns, or any gameplay videos for Vanguard multiplayer and Warzone, don't forget to sub to the channel as we're trying to reach a goal of 1,000 subscribers. And don't forget to click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our main channel. We will be posting stats content on all the new weapons as well. But like I said, we're going to be going over the best settings. So first, your input, mouse and key or controller. Personally, I play with controller, so you will be skipping over the mouse and keyboard settings because I don't have a clue where to start with them. Now, when it comes to the graphics settings, now this is going to be slightly different depending on what console or if you're playing on PC. This will vary slightly, but the good thing is FOV is now on console as well, which is great. Obviously, we had that back in Cold War as well. Now, when it comes to PC settings quickly, display mode full screen borderless is the best. It allows you to tab in and out of other applications if you do need to. Then you want to set your display resolution to whatever your display is. The refresh rate, again, to whatever the refresh rate of your display is. Make sure that's selected. VSync I have off because my frame rates are pretty much what I get on my monitor anyway, but if you're struggling and you get a lot of screen tearing, then you might want to turn VSync on. This helps smoothing out all your frames. VSync and menus, again, I have this turned off. Frame rate limit, I have this set to custom. I've set it to 250. I don't necessarily get 250, but it's the highest I would like my PC to go if I could get it. Then aspect ratio, you either want to set to automatic or you could choose the actual aspect ratio of your monitor. It doesn't really matter. Both will work perfectly fine. Display gamma, I have this set to standard. Focus mode, I have set to off. You don't really want any of that. Display adapter, just make sure it's your graphics card. And then obviously want to make sure that the textures are already installed. Then when it comes to quality, custom presets, I usually have it set to custom so I can play around with it. You can set it to maybe like medium or high if you really wanted to, but it's always best to play around with the settings. Render resolution I have set to 130 just so I get a little bit better than my 1080p render. Then I've got dynamic resolution, I have this turned off. This is going to change your resolution based on your hardware whilst you're in game. Bit weird, wouldn't really want that. It's going to be very off-putting that some cases your resolution could be 1080p, some cases it could be 720p. I just have that turned off and just make sure you're choosing the correct settings. Texture resolution I have set to high. This is probably the most important one, especially when you're trying to pick out targets, pick out enemies. This has to be set to high or as close to high as you could possibly get. Texture, filter, anisotropic, I have this set to medium. Particle quality level, I've set this to low. It doesn't really affect the game performance too much and is not really going to give you any extra detail that you actually need. Particle resolution, again, I've set this to low. Bullets, impacts, and sprays needs to be set to on so you can see if enemy players have been nearby. Probably a bit more viable and a bit more needed inside Warzone rather than Vanguard multiplayer because you're going to know there's people about anyway. But like I said, I have this set to on anyway. Shader quality, I've set to high just to make sure you're getting the best quality there. Tessellation, again, you want this on just to make sure you can see any weapons lying about, anything like that. Level of detail, distance range, I have this set to long. Basically, it means that how far you're looking, will you still get detail at those longer distances? And you do still want that, especially in a competitive multiplayer game like Vanguard. You want to make sure you can see as far as possible. Nearby level of detail I have this set to high as well. Detail of the distant detail, of course, you want this set to high too. That made no sense, by the way. Clutter draw distance, again, have this set to high. I'm not too sure what this 100% means, but it sets a distance of like the foliage and stuff like that in terms of the detail of the kind of grass or the bushes and that kind of thing. But I think I need to set this to high just in case people are hiding in bushes or camping and stuff like that. So that's why I have it set to high for just now. But if anything changes, I'll let you know. Volumetric quality level is to do with kind of the sun rays and stuff like that in the game or the overall lighting. I have this set to medium. I've got local shadows only for screen space shadows. Shadow map resolution, again, I've set this to medium as well because you don't need like super high detail shadows. You just need to know if an enemy's nearby if you can't see them. Sun shadow cascades low. Cache sun shadows are off. Cache spot shadows are off. Spot cache size is medium. Spot shadow quality is high. Particle lighting, again, I have this set to medium because you don't really need the best particle quality or particle lighting. Overall, you just need to be able to see in those areas, and that's why I have it set to medium. Ambient occlusion, I have this set to both. Then we've got screen space reflections, which I have set to medium, and this is just going to make your reflections, like for example water on the ground and windows, things like that, look really good. Now great, it makes your game look good, but also impacts your performance as well, so I have that set to medium. DLSS, you can use this is probably the better option than that mad scaling resolution thing. This is definitely a better option because it actually changes your frame rate depending on your performance and stuff like that, so it's kind of cool. You can use this if you do have not so good hardware on PC. Everything else after this I have pretty much set to off for these two settings. I'm not even sure what they do, to be completely honest. Filmic SMA 2 times is the anti-aliasing that you definitely need. And you want this, make sure that the anti-aliasing quality is set to ultra and the filmic strength is turned all the way down. You want to make sure you do that. You don't want any filmic grain or anything like that in the game. You just want to make sure that's turned off. Depth of field, again, you want to make sure this is turned off, whether your console, PC, doesn't matter. VRAM usage target, I have this set to 85%. I think that's a good amount so that other apps can run in the background if I'm recording and stuff. So 85% is a good amount. Then we've got gameplay here. For color customization, I like to use the both, and I don't know why they've got it. Yeah, here we go. So as the Dirtanopia setting, I just kind of prefer this one. You could change it to whatever you like or just set it to default. And you want to make sure that it's set to both as well, and that's going to make the game look a little bit nicer in game too. I know it changes the kind of HUD colors, but again, it changes your actual in-game colors too, and it makes it look a lot more vibrant. And this is what I use in Warzone actually as well, and I think it works fine. I'm not colorblind, I just think it looks nicer. FOV setting, you want to whack that straight up. Personally, for me, I just like 120, I think is the best. And affected, you want to make sure that when you zoom in and your ADS, you're still getting that great FOV. Camera movement, you want to turn this all the way down, at least 50%. I wish there was an option to turn this off. That would be amazing, but you can't. So the least as possible. Weapon motion blur, world motion blur, and you want to turn those both off. You don't want any blur in a competitive multiplayer game like this. Reflex low latency, I had this turned to on. You can do on plus boost, but it definitely helps with the latency inside your PC. Nothing to do with the kind of internet speeds and stuff like that, but the overall latency of your system. Then we've got audio settings. Now, I usually turn the music all the way off. As much as I know that game developers work on that kind of stuff, it's great, but I don't like to use it. Then when it comes to audio mix, I've been using headphones since the beta and I think it works the best, so I do think headphones is the best. Hit marker sounds is Vanguard, and I've got kill streak music, which is off, mono audio off, and game sound device. And then everything after that is voice chat, so that's personal preference, so I can't really tell you what to do for that because you might be playing with friends. Interface, now we've got is default for the menu text size. Now, if you want like subtitles and stuff and you do need it, then turn this on. Obviously, it's very handy. It's even handy for people who can hear in game as well. So if you want to know if like a UAV is going up or anything else, or streaks are being called in, subtitles can be pretty handy overall. I do still have them turned off, to be honest. I don't feel like it's necessary. Then we've got text chat, which again is for your in-game. I do have FPS counters and stuff on, but this is all for PC stuff. Then what I do like to go over is this here. So HUD elements. Now I bring all the HUD elements a little bit closer in, about 80% and that makes it a little bit easier to look up and look at your UAV or look up at any other stuff that's going on around you. Vertical HUD bounds, again, I like to change this to make sure you can see what's going on around you. Minimap shape, you want to make sure this is square. Minimap rotation, you want to make sure this is on. Crosshair bobbing, now this is all that weird stuff that happens with Vanguard. That didn't happen with previous COD games. And that makes your crosshair move whilst you're firing, which is so annoying. So you want to make sure this is off because it makes your reticles at least stay in line. You will still get recoil, of course, but it's just going to be less visually annoying. And compass, cardinal, directional text is up to yourself. I have this set on letters. Now you've got controller settings, aim assist target. You want this on. Target aim assist mode, you want to set to default as well. People use other options, but default is definitely the best, so you get the rotational aim assist and you get the slowdown. ADS aim assist you want on. Weapon mount activation is ADS plus melee. You do want weapon mount movement exit on as well, so that if you move, it takes you off your mount. Depleted ammo weapon switch, I have this turned off just so you can move a bit quicker, even with a weapon that you don't have ammo in. I like to switch when I want to, not when the game tells me to. Blind fire, I've left this on, but this could actually be a good setting to turn this off, because this is one of the new things within Vanguard that you can do. Automatic airborne mantle, I have this set to off. Mantling is so annoying inside Warzone, COD, any COD game. You just don't want to mantle mid gunfight. And these are the settings for the next two. Mantle stance queuing I have on. I don't really know what this means, but if I have any changes to this, I'll let you know in a future video. I do have auto attack sprint turned on, auto move forward turned off, sprint cancels reload is on, sprinting door bash is on, slide behavior you must set to tap, aim down sight behavior is hold, and then equipment behavior is hold as well. Steady aim behavior is hold. Automatic weapon fire is hold. Prioritize reload for interact and reload behavior, and scoreboard is toggle. And that is pretty much all the best settings when it comes to the controller. Now lastly, we've got the controller settings itself. Horizontal, vertical, I have this set to 6. This is what I use in Warzone. When it comes to the multipliers for vehicles, I have this set to 1. When it comes to custom sensitivity per zoom, this is my settings here. So for every low zoom under a 3 times is a 0.8. When it comes to a 4 times, I've got a 1. And then everything after that is a 1.1. Now the reason why it's a 1.1 after that is because when you're sniping, you want to be moving a little bit quicker. And most of these optics will be basically for snipers. And everything below a 3 times will be like an AR or an SMG. Button layout I have set to default. That's because I've got paddles on the back. Vertical aim on zoom is standard. This is all to do with kind of vehicle stuff. Aim response curve dynamic is the best in my opinion. It allows you to snap between targets a little bit easier. Controller vibration is off. Weapon fire threshold is off. This is going to change how much you need to pull on your trigger to fire the weapon depending on the weapon, but I had that turned off. I want it to fire each and every time, doesn't matter what weapon it is, to make sure everything's consistent. ADS sensitivity when transitioning, you want to make sure this is instant. You don't want to basically be slow ADSing for no reason, even though your weapon might have a fast ADS. And then we've got ADS sense multiplier, you got that set to 1. Stick layout default, controller orientation is up, make sure this is the right way around. ADS stick swap off, and then the rest is all to do with dead zone, which is going to be down to your controller. But that is all the settings inside Vanguard multiplayer. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to sub to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and thank you very much for watching.